The workshop, putting plans together. 3 books now sit on the windowsill like a little family. They're getting shabbier by the day, unlike my boards. I hold my latest masterpiece up toward the light of the window, reveling in my smooth lines. Art comes into my workshop. Well, I guess it's really his. He takes a board off the wall rack, flips it around, holds it out and inspects it, then looks directly at me. These new boards any good? The best. I smile. Well, they're the best I could do. Art keeps inspecting the board. You show this new design to anyone? I showed my last 2 to 2 different companies. The arrogant suit-wearing guys in the offices screwed their lips and waved me out. Besides, the market is flooded with surfboards, no need for more. No market is flooded when you enter it with your heart and soul, Art says. When your product comes from your uniqueness, your passion, when your heart beats within the product, then nothing compares to it. Then it's not flooded. It's a one-of-a-kind. And there is always demand for that. For a product with heart. That sounds true. Very true, but putting all your heart into something takes an enormous amount of energy. It's physically and emotionally exhausting. Art stands the board beside him. There are not many better feelings than to fight and triumph over adversity. To go the distance with your dreams. I slide the board back on the workbench and rub my neck. Those business people don't even care about a great board, they only want a quick buck, a good gimmick. I'm just in it for the fun, I say. The cooling of my mind. Art nods and turns his attention toward my board again. He holds it by the nose and spins it, then grabs it sharp. But it could be a lot of fun producing your own boards. Probably would be, I say, if you had the cash necessary to get started. Art sends a sharp look my way. You don't need cash, you need flash. I flash a glance at Art to send him a message through my brain that tells him, what are you talking about? He gets the message because he continues, you need your flash. Your fire. Your force. I sit on the stool beside the workbench. I can't force them to take the board. Not that kind of force, Art says. I'm talking about your emotions, state of mind, what you are feeling at the time. I wave a hand in anger. They don't care what I feel. No. But you will, Art says. If you're feeling absolutely certain that your boards will succeed because they are of genuine quality, then you will act with your true force on making that succeed. Your best force, all your might, everything you got. And that will make it succeed. I stare at my board lying on the workbench. It is good. But no one would buy one. No one would believe that me, a kid with a chicken factory education, could design something with that extra edge. I look up at Art. What if I don't believe that? What if I'm not certain my boards will sell? I can see that you're not certain, tell by your disposition right now, Art says. Shoulders slumped, shallow breath, weak voice, leaning slouched on that workbench. And that's why you're quitting the idea, because you don't believe. I slide my arm off the bench and straighten up. I know that. I just said I don't believe. Even if my boards are good, no one will listen to me. I don't blame them, Art says. If a young man, who should be full of life and vitality, came into my business to sell me something with your disposition, I'd send him on his way, almost anyone would. You have to believe before other people will believe. And you don't need others to believe it, for you to believe it. So, I just gotta believe in it. Yes, Art says. I slowly shake my head. But I don't believe it. Believe, and it will be. Then start believing, Art says. Your belief is your core. What you truly believe deep in your gut. It will affect how you act long term. You need your core inner beliefs, your force, expressive emotions, to be working with power and harmony. Power and harmony. I say, implying I need him to expand that idea. Art takes a stool by the wall and drags it to the workbench and sits with me. When you're throwing a punch into the boxing bag, remember what you need for max power. I grin and remember that first night when Art was trying to teach me. Your core and your force, I say. It's your core strength coming from your gut, with your force working in harmony, coming from your external tools, your legs, shoulders and arms. Told you we'd come back to it. Art smiles. Life works the same. Have a strong core. A strong belief system regarding your potential. Believe that you can achieve almost anything if you work toward it in the correct way. That will raise your emotions and mind to a higher level, and you will act with full belief and your full force, like throwing a punch. When it all works together, it gives max power. I understand that, I say. But I have no idea where to go from here. I can build a good board, but that's it. You need to train yourself in the next phase of advancement, Art says. Such as the business side of it, which is totally different from designing and building a board. I look at some of my prototypes by the far wall, the books I've read, half read. It took a decent amount of time. It's a lot of energy to start training for something again. The energy will be no problem once you have your empowering beliefs running, Art says. Set that standard, set it in your core, that you are easily capable of accomplishing your desires and goals. That will get your force running. It will fill you with confidence and bring out your best, which will lead you to action. This is where your gut, your intuition will kick in and give you the directions to take, the actions to take, and your intuitions will exude power with your full confidence running. Then you're in guaranteed to succeed mode, and your subconscious will be in full power and hand you more inspirations. Then you will act with vigor, and that vigorous action will give you great outcomes and progress. Then your confidence grows from the progress, and the process continues on with more power. Let's say I go further with my boards, I say. I probably won't, but pretend I do. Where do I go from here? That's quite simple. No, it's not. It is, Art says. All you have to do is decide on a couple of actions you can take that will progress your goal. Write down 5 or 6, pick the ones that will have the biggest impact and go for it. What if I don't know how to do the things or actions I wrote down? I ask. Learn how to do it, Art says, pointing to the 3 books on the sill. Find a book on it. Search the internet. Find someone who's done it and see how they did it. Then when you learn how, do it. Don't try and hack your way through. Trying to get it done through trial and error exhausts a lot of time and energy. I look out the window and gaze at the plants and ferns Art has planted. The thick greenery adds some peace. I've used a lot of energy so far. Art gazes out the window too. I know. You've been fighting and that's good, Art says. But trying to learn a new skill is best with the best guidance. Like learning to box. You learn faster and better with a good trainer. Same with all things. See those plants outside, Art says and points to them. Imagine it was a jungle, imagine you're traipsing through a jungle. Trying to make a breakthrough by trial and error is like trudging through a thick jungle. You have a big knife and you hack at the vines, branches and shrubs, get cuts all over you and attacked by mosquitoes. You get where you're heading, but it takes a lot of time and energy. So it's better if I take a guide to hack through the jungle in front of me. I say. Better than that, Art says. The guide has already been there, and already knows the best path. He will take you straight out of the thick trees and onto a track, and walk you along the jungle path. I smile and laugh. A path through the jungle sounds a lot easier. That's why you learn how to do something first by someone who has done it, Art says. Then walk that path. It still takes effort to walk the path, but you will get there 10 times smoother and faster. Art runs his hand along my board. Almost as smooth as this board. So I decide what I want to do, I say. Believe I can do it. Learn how to do it best. Then do it. Art opens his hands, then rests them on the table. The process is that simple. I'm getting happier already, I say. I mean, I'm doing better than those guys I used to hang with, they're still just partying. I run into them from time to time and ask how they're going. Art nods, pats my shoulder. It's good you still show a balanced interest in them. Even better, you're being your own man. But don't compare yourself to them. Compare yourself to yourself. That makes no sense whatsoever, sorry. Yes it does, Art says. When we compare ourselves with those doing less than us, we can have the danger of being overly arrogant and proud, the wrong kind of pride. We may think we are better people than those accomplishing less, which we are not. You don't see yourself as that now, or you wouldn't stop to say hi to your former associates. But comparing ourselves with those doing less also has the danger of making us complacent. We think we're doing as good as we can, because we're doing more than others. So should I compare myself with the best? I say. You can as long as you have balance, Art says. Look to the best to learn, to see how to improve, but don't compare yourself and see you're doing less and become discouraged. It could drive you in the wrong direction. Say you want to be as good as them in some area, like having money, and that area isn't even for you. You strive for it and become unhappy. But even if it's in the right field that you're going for, one day you may be on their level, then get complacent and say, I don't need to do any more, which is fine if you really don't want to do more. But if you compare yourself to yourself, that is, compare what you're doing now compared to what you could be doing if you were performing at your full potential, you will strive toward that full potential of yourself. Challenge yourself against your full potential self. Write down what you're doing against what you could be doing. Then challenge that. I guess that would leave no room for jealousy or resentment or arrogance, I say. That's why it's the best, Art says. Envision what you could accomplish by doing your absolute best, and then compare that with what you're doing now. Then aim for that highest vision. That vision will be truly yours, be unique for your personality, and bring the most happiness and fulfillment. I stand from the stool, and stress makes me drop my head on the table, but then I stand straight again. Maybe you could come with me and I could show my boards to a new buyer, I say. You could show me how to present it. The power in your hands. Art rubs his stubble and breathes deeply. He stands and makes his way to the green and rusty cabinet. He opens the dented door, it squeaks and he takes out a basketball. He sends a bounce pass to me, but the ball makes a scoosh sound and flop bounces on the floor and bumps into my foot. Pump it up, Art says. I inflate the ball, and Art takes me out the back of the storage room, where a basketball ring is attached to the wall. Art stands back and sinks a shot, the chain rattling as the ball falls through the ring. Who scored that shot? Art says. He expects me to answer the easiest of questions. Mr. Stinselwick, I believe. Art glares and I guess again. You. Art nods, bounce passes me the ball and points to the hoop. Take a shot. I brace my knees, size up the ring and let the ball fly, my palm flattened and pointing to the ring as the ball spirals toward it. The ball hits the rim and bounces off. Art picks up the ball and tosses it to me. Try again. He smiles. Perhaps stand a little closer. Distance is fine. I take another shot, and the chains chime as the ball falls through the hoop. First shot was a warm-up. Art takes the ball and holds it. Same with going for our goals, Art says. Sometimes it takes a couple of shots. But my question is, who scored that shot? I point to myself. Me. So if I take the shot, I score the goal, Art says. If you take the shot, you score the goal. You should have been a basketball coach, I say to him. You're a genius. I know it's obvious, Art says. But tell me, if I took your boards and got a contract for them, who would have scored the goal? I raise my arms and let them drop. You. Art throws me the ball a little firmer. So who needs to take the boards in again? Art asks. I look at the orange basketball, twirl it with my fingers. I know I have to go and see the arrogant business guys. But my mind goes blank when I go to do it. I look up at Art. Yeah, I have to take my board in if I want to achieve my goal. Whoever takes the shot scores the goal, Art says. Don't get me wrong, it's a good thing to have assistants and assist others with their goals. But only you can score your goal. No one will do it for you. If you're waiting for others to do it, it will never happen. I'd like to achieve some of my goals, I say, and feel my face screwing in anger, but those guys in the suits are arrogant. Whose responsibility is it to convince them? Art says. I zone in on the hoop and take a shot. The ball hits the rim again and bounces off. Mine. But they don't listen. They smile smugly, thinking they're cool. Maybe they are cool, they're wearing suits. Art shrugs, an expression of half joke, half serious. Still, no matter if they're the most arrogant people on earth, you must take full responsibility. Taking responsibility leads to possibility. I don't smile at the rhyme as I go to the edge of the concrete and pick up the ball. Art sounds like he expects me to do everything. I'm no Superman. It's harder for me, though, to take on everything. I've got fewer resources than others. Art strolls up and taps the basketball. All the resources you need are holding that ball. Looking at that ball. Thinking about that ball. Art touches my chest. And beating in there. We have all we need to accomplish our goals, heart, hands and mind. And taking full responsibility with everything gives us full power in everything. How does taking full responsibility give us power in everything? I ask. When you picked up the ball and it was flat, you could have tried to bounce it, but would the ball have bounced well? No, I say. Then you could have blamed the circumstance, Art says, and said it was the ball's fault. It was flat, and that's why it wouldn't bounce. And tell me, would that technically be true? I bounce the ball and it hits the concrete and bounces back firm to my hands. Yeah. If the ball was flat, it wouldn't bounce. So you had two options, Art says. Not be able to bounce the ball and blame the ball for being flat. Or take responsibility and pump it up and bounce the darn thing. I laugh. Yeah, but it's a bit different with more complicated things. Art shakes his head. The principle works for everything. Improves everything. Say you're driving and someone in front of you slams on their brakes because they thought it would be fun to do so, and you smash into the back of them. Whose fault is it? It's their fault, I say. They're being stupid. Technically that's true, Art says. But it hands them all the power for the result or outcome, and takes all your power for the result or outcome away. But if you took full responsibility, it empowers you. So I hit the bad driver and say it's my fault. I say. No, you take responsibility immediately, Art says. Full responsibility will make you allow for bad drivers. Therefore you will travel a little further behind, be more alert, and have your brakes working well on your car. With all these things in place, you have your best chance of avoiding the accident. But if you take no responsibility, you're going to crash. Take responsibility for everything. Never blame someone else, the weather, the economy, the boss, the coworker, the dog, the cat, the flat ball. Or lack of. I start laughing, interrupting. Wait a minute. No one blames a cat for their failures. Yes they do, Art says. It's the principle. It works in small things, works in large things. People will blame their cat for going to the bathroom on their new lounge or carpet, but if they took responsibility to toilet train the cat, and keep it somewhere it can't soil anything, it would never have happened. Then they blame the dog for destroying something they left out, or they didn't teach the dog to respect it. The principle works with all things. I nod. Okay, go on. People blame a lack of educational skills, Art says, but any excuse or blame pushing hands that person or thing the power. But take full responsibility, and it gives you the power. I take the ball, spin around, run and bounce and take a fadeaway jump shot and sink it. So it's like taking the responsibility for the game-winning shot. You're starting to understand, Art says. You will always empower yourself to take action and get the best possible result if you have. Art picks up the ball and hands it to me, the ball or power in your hands. You take the ball. You take the responsibility. You have the power. I guess it was me who started building my own boards in the first place, I say. I took responsibility for that. You sure did and got good results, Art says. Everything in your life so far has been because of you, not others. Be responsible for everything in your life. No matter what you want in your life, you must take responsibility to obtain it. You were responsible for deciding to work at the chicken factory, even though your mates wanted you to work there with them. It was still you who went there. And maybe it was okay for the time. I'm not saying it wasn't, I'm just saying it was your fault. Your responsibility. Art looks at me until I accept it, which I show that I do with a nod. Then he adds, it was also your responsibility when you quit. I nod, understanding. It was you, Art says, having the power in your hands that moved you to talk to Camilla. If you have no good friends in your life, you can't blame everyone around you for not being good people. It's your responsibility to grow yourself and be a good friend, and make good friends. It's up to you to get a job you love, and your responsibility to figure out what that is. It's up to you to eat healthy and exercise. It's up to you to get educated. If you say, I don't have rich parents to pay for an education, you're throwing away the ball, throwing away the power. It's up to you to get the education you need. There are ways of getting funding for schools, or there are libraries full of books to teach us all we need. You may say there are no opportunities. Once again, you are throwing away your power. Take responsibility and look for opportunities, make opportunities. Everything in life take responsibility for. I pick up the ball again, spin it in my fingertips. I want to keep my power. The ball is always in my hands. I'm the one who has the power to shoot. I look at Art once more. I understand now. It's all up to me to live my life. If I want to be a surfboard designer, I've got to make it happen. Art peers at me. What's the difference between someone who wants to be a surfboard designer and someone who wants to design surfboards? I shrug. Maybe one has bigger ideas. ERRMM, Art says, not sure how that translates in English. It's the difference between who you want to be and who you are. I shoot for the hoop. Right. Ball bounces off the rim, and I pick it up. What's the difference between someone who wants to be fit and ripped and someone who wants to work out? Art says. I twirl the ball, fiddle with it. Maybe one has goals. Main difference is the one who wants to be fit, may not, and probably won't last working out, Art says. But the one who wants to work out, who loves it, loves the techniques, loves feeling the muscles burn, loves finding that best form that reaches the best result, they will keep working out and be fit. Same for anything. I smile. The principles always seem to work for all things. Art smiles, believing that is so. Someone who wants to be a businessman versus one who loves business. A woman who loves business, deals with business and loves it regardless of the results, she keeps doing it and succeeds. One girl wants to be a great musician, another girl wants to play the piano. The girl who plays the piano for the love, loves all the notes, the way music works, keeps playing and becomes a great musician. The girl who wants to be a great musician most likely quits because she just wanted the result. Money, fame, glory of playing in front of an audience, but you only get that if you simply love to play. I see, I say. A young man wants to be a great actor, so he applies for movies, doesn't get any parts, and after a few years he gives up on his dream, Art says. Another man who has a love for acting is not swayed by not getting any acting parts, and he continues to act. Maybe in small local plays that a few friends sit and watch, but he loves it because he's acting. It's the acting he loves, not the end result of fame. So he acts wherever he can, eventually that may lead to fame. So if I do what I love, I say, instead of doing it for some loved end result, it will succeed? Yep, Art says. The end result is not the end anyway. When you love what you're doing, you simply keep doing it. So you know if you're in the right field, if you love the doing. If it's the end result you're after, then it's not the best field for you. That thought springs light into my heart. I'm in the right field. I love making boards. I'll always do it, and I don't mind if I'm not selling them on a global scale. I glance up at the ring, glance at the ball in my hand. But if I want to do boards for a living, how do I take that first shot? Art goes back in the workshop and I follow. He then grabs a newly finished surfboard. He looks it over and smiles and thinks. The board is taking him back to him and Lucy on the golden sand. Art looks up at me with a spark in his eyes and says, "You go surfing. Take the wave. Live the ride." Art pulls up by the lighthouse. The stone tower stands on the cliff face, presiding over the beach and waters. We take the surfboards from Art's roof racks and carry them through the squeaky sand and come to a nice spot. The sun is bright and the swells are rolling in, some a little high, making me a tad nervous. I'm not that good at surfing. Still, there are plenty of clean waves that are not breaking early. I'll take them. Art fits his black wetsuit on. You ready for this? He asks. I get my back zipper caught and yank hard. Not really. Art shakes his head at me as I jig and dance like a 5-year-old girl taking her first ballet lesson. Stupid zipper's stuck. This always happens. Never complain and grumble, Art says. But it bugs me. Making a fuss makes us rust, Art says. I don't laugh at his rhyme and don't feel like arguing, so I stop sulking. I twiddle the zip, and it frees and zips up. I smile and pick up my board. Art eyeballs my suit. Blue. It's your color. Now let's get out there. I pound the sand, leading the charge. Hope your knees don't give way, I say to Art. Never mind my knees. The hot wind blows on my face before I splash into the ocean. It's cold and refreshes my skin. The first wave rolls toward me, I jump high and lay on my board and Art picks me up by the back of my neck. You're supposed to stay on your board. Yeah. I gather myself, spit out salt and clear my nose after I took a great tumble. I go to move forward and Art grips my sleeve. You know this is the fun part, Joey. I recall the big hit and underwater somersault I just took. I like it better when I'm riding the wave. Art steadies himself as the breaking waves crash through us. We're waist deep in water and the current drifts us down the shoreline. Do you prefer movies where the hero breezes through life and does nothing? Art asked me. Or where the hero has a goal, then as he strives for it gets struck with obstacle after obstacle and the stakes are high, he might die, lose the girl he loves. Yeah, the one with the most drama, I say. You talk a lot about movies. You don't read enough books, so I'm using what I can. I am working on that one, I say. You saw those 3 board design books? Art holds up the board. I did. And I've seen the results. My boards certainly look good. Feel good. That direction I got from the master in those books certainly helped. Movies are about people, Art says, and they must have high drama and conflict. In fact, we get bored and stop watching if they don't. We want heroes who act toward their goals and desires, not react to their situations. Overcoming the odds and reaching a goal, and growing as a person, is what the movie is all about. But for some reason in our own lives we want the opposite: ease, calm, relaxation, go in circles, no struggles. But that means no growth and no life. Also, it's just plain boring. No one would watch a movie like that, I say. And it makes me think, if we wouldn't watch it, why live like it? The heroes in the movies act toward their goal or need, Art says. They don't simply react to whatever happens to them. There's no story in that. Nothing happens with that mindset. So if we want our lives to be a good one, a good story we enjoy, we must act. Take the obstacles and challenges head on, live life and love it. Like take these breakers head on, I say. Art points forward at the waves rolling toward us. The decision-making process can be likened to surfing. How is? I grip my board as rolling white foam rumbles through us. My body is beaten by water before I steady my toes back into the sand. How is that? Decisions likened to surfing, I mean. Well, the fun part of decision-making is in the doing, the implementing, carrying it out, Art says. Just like that is the fun part of movies, the action. With the right mentality and correct understanding of taking action, the doing is great. And it will get us where we want to go. And the sooner you get started, the sooner you arrive. We got to get moving. When to move though? I say. It's okay to have a goal, but how to implement it? When to move? Balance, remember, Art says, always driving home balance. Learn and act. Learn and act. But it's the action that does it. That's the part one don't like sometimes, I say. It's because you don't have the correct understanding, Art says, the correct meaning of action. And you're indecisive, half-hearted, unsteady, and lack conviction and listen to everyone's opinion of what you should be doing. Art glances at me as a wave hits us and foam sprays over his face and he shakes it off. And if you make a start on one of your decisions and you come up against an obstacle, a setback or two or many, or it just gets hard, you know what you do. I turn and face the onrushing white water. I hate getting continually pounded like this. I hold the board, jump and lie over the wave and go whooshing back. I steady again in the pushing current and see Art being pushed aside, but 63 years of age and still fighting those waves, not too shabby. We come back together, and I have my answer. I know what I do, I say. I think of the waves, the obstacles, and how much I hate getting hit and pushed back. I think negatively. Then quit. Art lands his hand on my shoulder. It's a big step forward in admitting that. You can move forward faster when you admit and know where you currently stand. Know where you stand, then move forward. I nod. I know where I'm standing right now, in the swirling ocean with its whirling currents, riptides and pounding waves. It's not easy to push through them. Now, Art looks forward. If it's a small, easy decision, this may not be the case, but for a moderate one, and large ones it's like this. Part of the decision implementation process is like trying to get past the breakers. When you first start to carry out your decision, you will get setbacks, failures, things will happen you didn't account for. You will get knocked back again and again, like onrushing waves. It is hard. That's the part one hate, I say. Yes. But with the right perspective, the right beliefs on the challenges, you will love it. I look at Art as waves pound us. How can you possibly love getting beaten on again and again? There are many reasons, Art says. Such as when you realize what it does for you. With each setback you tackle, you learn new skills and grow new qualities. It increases your character, and you become a bigger, broader person, able to handle more and bigger challenges. So when you realize the setbacks are growing you into your full potential, and your full potential gives you more happiness, and helps you give more to others and makes them happy, and makes yourself happy by doing that, then you love the setbacks getting beaten on. You thank the beatings for who they are helping you become, and what they are helping you achieve. They refine you, mold you into the best person you could possibly be. Tackling challenges makes us grow, I say. Art nods. You can't grow into your full self until you have tackled enough challenges, enough setbacks. We're caught looking at each other and get struck by a big wave. We're pulverized and dunked, spun and jerked. I dig my feet into the sand, slide, then push up for air. Art's arms are flipping in directions unimaginable, like he's doing Olympic synchronized swimming, getting all zeros. He pushes up through the water and breaks into laughter. You see how much fun that was? I laugh as water runs down Art's face. Yeah, guess it was pretty awesome. And we survived, Art says. The challenges of the decision can be just as fun with the correct viewpoint, and you will see that you survive. What about my negative thinking? I say. My negative thoughts when I try to act on my decision. What do I do about them? Remember, it's your manager mind running out of control, Art says. And if you let him loose to do and say whatever he wants, he will poison you. Poison in a symbolic way. Yes. And literal, Art says. You see, whenever you have a negative thought, whether it be about someone else, yourself, or a situation or circumstance, you poison your bloodstream. Your brain sends cortisol, the stress hormone, through your bloodstream. Cortisol produces many negative effects. Makes you depressed, agitated, aggravated, anxious, and other bad emotions. It will also make you tired. You will lose your energy and vigor that you need to meet your challenges head on and live. You can't have a negative thought without damaging yourself. I look down at my board and think how negative and messed up my thoughts can be. It's like I'm drinking poison. So that's why I'm tired at the end of a day when I've been stressed out and thinking poorly. There's cortisol in my bloodstream. You can bet that adds to it, Art says. Once you see the results of negative thinking, it's easier to be motivated to stop it. The negative effect of negative thinking is even worse when the negative thoughts are physically expressed, either through harmful gossip, pointless arguing and complaining. Never complain or you will put poison in your system, then it has a roll-on effect, like a snowball rolling down a mountain that gets bigger as it tumbles down out of control. I seem to complain a lot. Wish I could control my thoughts. I seem to think negative all day. That's not surprising, Art says. The sciences estimate we have 60,000 thoughts per day, and most are negative. All those negatives release that evil stress hormone. We think about either bad things from the past, thinking our situation is too hard, fear of some future bad event that will probably never happen, or resentment of some wrong committed against us. That's one way we help ourselves when we forgive someone, by the way. Forgiving prevents cortisol and promotes endorphins. If you have a hard life, I say, there's little you can do. You complain more because you have more to complain about. You can't help that. Some people have it tougher than others. Some people do have more difficult challenges in life, Art says. But negative thinking only makes things worse. Only positive and power thinking can fight you out of the challenges. And there are ways to control your thinking. It's not our challenges or hard situations that cause us to think poorly and release the stress hormone. It's how we think about the situations that arise. If we don't have complaining, bitter thoughts and see a situation from a positive power outlook, we won't release cortisol. It's only the thinking, not the challenge. It's the rotten meditation, not the rotten situation. So I need to see the good in things. How? I ask. Be aware you are having bad thoughts, stop, then replace it with an empowering thought, Art says. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How does this make me stronger? How can I use this to my advantage? What is a good aspect of this? People who excel always make an advantage from a bad situation. They use obstacles. Try that, master it. When something bad happens, instead of complaining and flooding your system with cortisol, think, what good can I find in this, and how can I make an advantage from that? I stand silent, thinking upon his words. Except major tragedies, Art continues, like losing a loved one, there is almost always a way we can make an advantage from a bad situation. Go from disadvantage to advantage. Remember, if it wasn't for the setbacks, you may just go on shrinking in character, shrinking in life. But fighting through those tough situations, you learn to work harder, become more resourceful, win friends, reputation, independence, and self-worth. You rise from languish and develop the ability to live. I guess it makes you feel better doing that too, I say. It does, for a few reasons, Art says. One is excitement and positive thoughts send endorphins through your system, and they will make you feel good. And feeling good leads to action, which leads to more feeling good. And the feeling good and actions lead to more endorphins, and you get the picture. Is that why when you get on a roll, you feel like you can't be stopped? I say. A big part of it, Art says. Like in sports, say basketball. When a player makes a few shots, feels good, and floods his system with endorphins, he enters the zone. Then he makes more shots, develops more energy, attacks better, defends better. He's certain he can make the shots, make the plays, and he does make them. When you're in a high psychological state, you are more powerful. Being in a state of absolute certainty taps in and draws out your full potential. Your absolute best. You release your beast. I need to be able to do that in my life, I say. Release my beast when I face the challenges of implementing my decisions. You can, Art says. Remember, your challenges and situations don't create your thoughts, you create your thoughts. You create the thoughts which create the power that controls your life, so choose your thoughts wisely. I look at the white waves and feel excited to tackle them, to test this board out. Maybe it's time we bust through the breakers and rest in the calm. Art smiles. Now that's implementing a decision. We stare toward the breakers, lie on our boards and start paddling. The white foam comes and I hold my breath and dive under, shoot through the blue and burst out. I'm alive. I feel it. Art's behind me and we keep going, diving under more and more waves. Some take us back, but we keep driving. Before long we make it to the calm, sit on our boards and enjoy the rolling sway of the waves. Now that was fun, Art says. How invigorated do you feel? I'm smiling and my arms are pumping. I feel great. So it is when you're driving hard to implement your decision, Art says. I nod and sway my feet under my board. I need to implement my decisions like that, more focus, more vigor. Art continues, but did you notice when we were standing by the shore just talking, looking around half-hearted, how hard was it to get out here? Yeah, it was hard. We were getting washed downstream in the current. Don't be swept away. Art stares straight at me. If we stayed neutral, we would have been swept away. If you're neutral in life, life will sweep you away. So you're saying once again, you have to get moving with your decision, I say. Moving for starters, Art says, but then definiteness of purpose, knowing the direction you're heading in. Once we looked beyond the breakers and saw the calm, knew exactly where we wanted to be and went for it whole-souled with all our strength and tenacity, all our guile and heart, and held firm to our course, we made it. I guess if we stayed by the shore just talking or giving up from the first few breakers, we never would have made it out here, I say. Damn straight, Art says. Sometimes listening to what others want you to do can be like onrushing waves. They toss you about and throw you hither and thither. You're fortunate if you don't drown. Your managing mind can do that to you as well, if you don't manage him. You must have pertinacity, know where you want to go and what your decision is and implement it like your life depends on it. I feel the swells beneath me and look back at the shoreline. My life. It does depend on me taking action, and only I can do it. No one can do it for me. And without taking action, I have no life. But what comes after striving through the hard knocks? I look back at Art. It takes strength, tenacity, and direct purpose to make it out here, but what comes after you make it out here? Once you achieve your goal, you get to do what you could never have done if you didn't make the effort to implement your decision. What's that? I ask. Experience the results, Art says. Art smiles, and so do I. I think how my first few boards were failures. If I stayed on the one attempt and not the many I did, I wouldn't be out here sitting on it now, soon to experience riding it in. Then I look at the big swells and feel a little nervous. What if you're afraid? Like right now, those bigger swells look daunting. Fear is one reason many never start, Art says. And why many, who after starting and maybe coming this far, and seeing the big swells, seeing the big ride in, seeing how much further they have to go, they become fearful and back out. How do you make the fear go away? I ask. Don't fear the fear, Art says. You just need to control it. Even use the adrenaline. When you're in a fight, do you become fearful? I would before the fight, I say, on the way to the ring, but once I stepped inside, most of it went. I guess some was still there. You had the fear but went ahead, and once you got going it mostly went away. You got it under control, Art says. Same with implementing our decisions. We can be fearful to start with, think things in our head that aren't real, haven't happened, most probably never will happen. In fact, they're not even real at all, they only exist in our head, and then we paralyze ourselves. We need to control that. Remember, that's just your manager mind protecting you. Control him, then get started on your decisions and that fear will subside. The fear will turn into excitement, joy and fun, as you experience progress in your goal. I nod. Living your dream will definitely be more fun than fearful. So fear is okay, just don't let it stop you, Art says. And the more you step forward, the calmer you become at making decisions and moving through life. Remember, moving through life and doing things is life, so don't be overly fearful of it, enjoy it and live it. Many times we mistake our fears for actual excitement. We're really excited about moving forward, and can let that emotion get away and become overwhelmed and let it turn into fear. How do you control that? I ask. Balance. Balance is a great key, remember, Art says. Balance is a great factor in all things. Have balance in excitement and fear. Know that things will go wrong, but have the balance to know that is life, and you can enjoy those challenges and even thrive in them. Realize when you're fearful or nervous of some action you're contemplating, that it's a good thing. It means you're taking the project seriously, and that you are about to do it. You won't be nervous unless you're ready to start. So when I think about trying something and I'm not anxious or nervous, subconsciously I know I may not be about to start, I say. But when nerves build, it means I'm ready to go. Art nods. Also, remember, the fear of something is more often more paralyzing and crippling than the actual thing itself. We can think we're scared of the thing or action when we're actually not. We're scared of the unknown. Swirling my hands around the water, I say, you will have to explain that more. Is anyone afraid of the dark? Yes, I say, flipping my hands up, accidentally spraying water in Art's face. No, Art says, leaving the water drip down without flinching. But there are people who are afraid of the dark. No, they're not. Look. Art makes a cup with his hands, forming a small hole. Is it dark inside my hands? Pitch black. Would anyone be afraid of the darkness that's in there? Art asks. No. Why not? Because it's just your hands, I say. Exactly, Art says. No one is afraid of the dark, or they would be afraid when they made a cup with their hands and looked inside. They're not afraid because they know that nothing is inside there to hurt them. So in actuality, they are not afraid of the dark. They're afraid of the unknown. I get that, I say. But how does it help? Some of our fears can be like that, Art says. We're not afraid of the actual thing we want to do or accomplish, but we're afraid of the unknown, of what might happen if we try. Afraid of the thoughts in our head that tell us what might go wrong, but it's not real. Most of the time, these things never come close to happening. So the fear is just made up in our heads, imagining stuff that doesn't even exist. Our manager mind going berserk. Remember to use him to manage the risks, then forget the darkness, forget what you don't know, what could, might, will, won't, or maybe will happen, and focus on your goal and actions. I can do that, I say. And do it with confidence, Art says. Act as though you will win, and you will win. You can achieve anything humanly possible if you keep going. Keep chipping away. But the faster you chip, the faster you get there. I look at the big swells. Art sees I'm still nervous, so he continues. Another method to control fear, perhaps after you have used it to manage the risks, is to focus on what you must do. Not on what you feel. So focus on riding that wave, I say, the exhilaration. That's it, Art says. You can only focus on one thing at a time. If you're focusing on your fear, anxiety, what could go wrong, focusing on your feelings, then that's all you will feel, that's all you will know. You can't focus on what you must do, and therefore you can't do it. Your results will be chaotic. Fear is an emotion, and so look at the situation practically and it fades. If you focus on what you must do, you can't feel fear because fear is created by focusing on bad outcomes, and you can only focus on one thing at a time. If you choose to focus on the act is what you will do. Fearlessly. That must take some practice though, I say. I can't master that straight away. Like riding a wave or racing a car, Art says. It takes practice to keep that focus. But it can be mastered. Focus on what you must do. I look straight down onto my board, rub my hand along the wax surface, feeling the grit of my resolve. Focus on what I must do. Got it. Art snaps his fingers to regain my attention, and I look up. Then Art says, do it like you were born to do it. So have full confidence, I say. Even more than that, Art says. When you come up against a problem, obstacle or challenge, or whatever may be making you fearful or nervous, don't slip into the mindset of self-doubt. You need self-trust. You can do it, you just don't realize it. Don't start shaking in your boots thinking, I can't do this, what's going to happen? Just look at the challenge, stand tall and strong and tell yourself in a manner of absolute certainty, say it so you feel it in your gut, in your bones, and say, I'm up for this. I'll love this because life is about facing challenges and I love life. So think, I'm up for this challenge and will love this challenge, I say. Instead of I can't overcome this challenge and I'm scared of it. Yes, Art says. I'll say it again, I'm up for this. I'll love this. Because life is about facing challenges and I love life. I stop for a moment and feel my heart beating in my chest, feel the cold water swishing through my toes and feet. I watch a big wave and a big tunnel, how it curls, that's life right there. A challenge, riding a great challenge. It's hard, you will fall off, but boy, when you're up there and riding it for no matter how brief a moment, it's life. Art lets me have my moment. But just a moment, then he grabs my attention again and says, think, guaranteed to succeed. But there are no guarantees, I say. Act like you were guaranteed of success, Art says. Remember, certainty taps into your full power, full potential, and releases your beast. That will give you the most courage, the least fear, and the best possible chance of succeeding. If you can believe in yourself enough that you are guaranteed to succeed, then you will drive yourself through anything to achieve it. Not only that, your mind will have more confidence and will hand you more ideas, better strategies, and improved plans to make it succeed. I look at the bigger swells, how they curve and move, and I think of paddling hard and catching it and riding one in. The bigger the wave, the better the ride. It's going to be great riding one of these in, I say. Indeed. There are more to decisions than just that though, Art says. There are still decisions to make during the action, but usually they're easier to implement because you have momentum, the wave's momentum taking you in. You still need to ride that wave, pick a good swell and make the right turns, but the momentum is there and it's exhilarating. Momentum, I say. Momentum pushes you along like the wave. Can you apply that to life decisions? Of course, Art says. The wave is going your direction. Once you have decided to tackle the wave and get on, it jumps on your side and helps you along. The world, people, like the wave, will be on your side once you start and get going. People want to help you when you strive for something, fight for something. It's human nature. Art opens his hands as if to show it is human to help someone striving for something. We like to support. For example, we love to support sports teams. Even though we have no involvement with the game, we sit and watch and cheer and cry with joy when our team wins and cry with pain when they lose. We love to support people striving for something, same with the movies. I laugh. Movies again. In the movies, Art says, we always root for the hero who is striving against the odds to achieve his or her goal. The bigger the goal and harder the odds, the more we get excited, and the harder we cheer. That's true, I say. Makes for an exciting movie. Makes for an exciting life, Art says, and I remember thinking that in one of our earlier conversations. So when you are striving for something, Art continues, people will get inspired and want to help you in whatever small way they can. That's how things open up when you start moving forward. But if you're sitting on the couch and not trying anything, people will not be inspired to help you. Things and opportunities will not open up to you. Opportunities only open once you get going. What happens if you fall off the wave, the attempt at your goal? Oh, it's not an if, you will fall off. A deep swell rises toward us, gaining in depth and height. I've heard enough for now. I need to take some action. Not falling off this time though, I say. I'll ask you about it after I ride this wave. I turn my board, pump my arms through the water and kick hard. The wave sinks me into its trough. The blue swell rises behind me and threatens to swallow me whole, but my board catches it and I shoot to my feet. The board slices, carves through the wave as I speed down, cut back, then curve up into the swell. A tunnel forms at the board's tail. I dip down as the tunnel arcs over me and pounds into the ocean. The sound is brilliant. Alive. I zoom along, cut up, then down and swish out of the tunnel, flip back over the wave, jump high and splash into the ocean. Art rides a wave, steady and firm. He comes my way, then turns off and lands only a few feet away. Told you I wasn't going to fall, I say. No, you ride waves like a pro, Art says, and then runs his hands along his board. And your boards are great. Just remember to duck. What? Art looks up as rolling foam pummels us. We spin and tumble as if clothes in a dryer, then come up and paddle near to the shore. Never get complacent, Art says and grins. It can get you into trouble after your hard work. I stand beside my board and keep it steady as the rolling white foam pushes through us. Complacent. That's a good one to remember, I say. But what would have happened if I fell off, in going for my goal, I mean? Power questions. You try again, Art says. But try smarter. Ask yourself questions. Intelligent, positive, and creative questions such as, what was good about this failure? What was good about it? I say, interrupting. What's so good about a failure? For starters, Art says, Asking yourself a positive, empowering question puts you in a strong, calm mental state, and from such a composed, powerful state you can find a better answer and solution. If you're in a poor, no, let me clarify that, if you put yourself into a poor state, your power to make good decisions will be nullified. Don't become distressed or your power will vanish. Put yourself into a powerful state. So I empower myself. Then what? I ask. Continue to ask good questions, Art says. Such as, what lessons can I learn from this? What did I do right? What did I do wrong? How can I keep doing the right? How can I avoid the wrong? How did this experience as a whole make me grow as a person? What qualities do I now possess that will enable me to make better decisions in the future and have better capabilities to carry them out? And by asking empowering questions, you will increase the balanced love for yourself, which enriches all areas of life, relationships, moods, self-respect, self-reliance, and they all help achieve goals. I flip my board and run my hand along the bottom, feeling the curve. So the more you do, the more you learn to do. And then appreciate it, and have power thoughts, and you grow more, then you can give more and receive more. You're learning well. Keep applying and you will soon see big results, Art says. You can't do more or handle more or create more than you are capable of doing as a person. But by making more decisions and acting on them, you will create that person and get better every time and have more fun. Take for example, when you started to learn to surf, did you start out on good size swells like these? No. I shake my head. They were smaller. Did you master surfing instantaneously? Well, I had a natural feel for it, I say. But still, most of the time I got dumped. And the bigger the wave and the more reckless it was, the harder I fell. But you came through it, kept going, and now you're good, Art says. So it is with our decision making, carrying out our decisions, and building character. We can't handle more than we are capable of, the same as we can't surf a big wave if we're not capable of a small wave. But we can learn. We can become a more capable person. We can learn to master the small decisions quickly, learn to notice our intuitions, be attentive to its calling, then learn to act on it, and we will see the results. The more good, rapid results that come in, the more confidence we get, and we will be able to make decisions faster and tackle bigger decisions. Like starting my own small business, I say. I really have no idea how to start. You can learn, Art says. Read books. Learn from the masters of business. Understand their thinking and principles. Especially, look into the ones who did what you are hoping to do. Then your mind will naturally grow in these areas, then your intuition, your gut, inspirations will be stronger, then you can follow it to success. I flip my board back over. The board could still be improved to ride better. My next one will be close to perfect. Still, I say, a business won't be easy. Not by a long shot, Art says. Implementing any decision requires hustle. The bigger the decision you make, the more hustle you need. But learn to love the hustle. Remember, it will become fun when you know what it is doing for you, creating you as a more accomplished person. And it can and should be a lot of fun dealing with other people as you go along in your decision or business. Everything requires contact and communication with other people, which in essence is one of the very best parts of any endeavor. Can't it be a hassle sometimes dealing with people, I say, especially if they're difficult or have totally different points of view? When you look at it in the correct light, the right meaning, the positive and empowering meaning, just about every reasonable experience with someone will be great, Art says. Life in essence is our contact with people. Life is about people. Our relationships. We sometimes get caught up in the drain of material life and miss that. Across the waters and upon the beach, bikini girls are hanging onto the arms of their man, couples are playing with their kids in the shallows, and an old couple are strolling the sands side by side. People really do make life, I say. I never really looked at it that way. And it sounds good. Sounds great, actually. People, not the beautiful house. How would you feel if you owned the most beautiful house on earth? Art says, stretching his hand along the shoreline, overlooking the most beautiful beach, with the best 5 cars in the world stuck in your garage, but you were the only one alive on the planet. I imagine for a moment my open-walled masterpiece mansion overlooking a golden beach adorned by swaying palms, then tearing up the mountain road in my convertible Ferrari, but no one to share it with, glancing over at that shotgun red leather seat and only seeing red leather. Life would be meaningless. Sure would, Art says. So learn to love every experience, well, at least the most you can with every individual, because that's what makes life worth living. And if you have a genuine interest in that other person and think of a way to make their life better, to add joy to their life, or help them in some way as you conduct your business with them, even if it's only a small, genuine, specific compliment, then you're almost guaranteed your experience with that person will be an enriching one. Enriching others' lives, and mine and Camilla's, sounds real sweet, I say. Does making decisions and acting on them, even through the challenges, sound as scary now? Art says. No. It sounds exciting, fulfilling, fun, I say. I actually can't wait to have an inspiration, and make a decision and do it. Art smiles and laughs. Decisions, becoming a self-reliant person, heading out and doing stuff, enriches your life and others. It's what life is. Life, real life, is not hiding and cowering back from living. Life is living. You must live life. When you bust through your comfort zone and strive for ideas and dreams, yeah, you get scared, but it's really excitement. You will make breakthroughs and come out stronger and ready for the next exciting and fulfilling adventure. Learn to feel excitement from the discomfort, and the quality of your life will grow. The more decisions you make and carry out and give to others, and build your character and live life with Camilla, and enrich each other's lives, the more you are living life. Art smiles, looking at me with his life-filled dark eyes, and adds, when you are living life, life is electrifying. Bust the cocoon and fly. We ride more waves. Some brilliant swells I saw through, some dump me hard, but all are fun. The sun begins to dip into the vast open blue, and my hands wrinkle like I'm 187 years old. We hit Bernie's Beach Bar and grab some cold Stellas, sit back on the chairs and watch the sun glisten low over the water. Create your state. Some young guys and girls playing a friendly game of basketball over by the courts take my attention for a moment. Then Art takes my attention. Do you feel good right now? Art asks. With the sounds of people playing ball, the colors of the sun before me, cold beer in hand and refreshed from a good surf, how could I feel anything else? Feel brilliant. Would you like to feel this good all the time? Art asks. At least most of the time. It's an obvious answer, but I respond anyway, absolutely. Everyone would. But as I gaze at the sunset, I realize right now, somewhere in the world, someone is staring at a rotten factory they're walking into, or they're staring at another rejection slip from another job application, or leaning back in a big brown chair staring up into the bright round glow of a dentist's light. Sometimes I say, it's not possible. Art faces me, offering his inquiring eyes. Why's that? I place my beer down slowly. Because things happen in life. Things? Bad things, I say. Things go wrong. You get fired, and even though you hated your job, you needed it. Or your car breaks down on the side of a lonely highway. Or even sometimes small things can bug you, like you drop and smash an expensive plate you just bought, ruining the set. Or your computer jams, or the internet. And sometimes you just can't find your damn keys. Art smiles and says, should always put your keys in the same place. Yeah, I say, scratching my head, feeling guilty of that crime. We all know that. Only some do it. Or even, like, there was this time when my toaster broke and I had not much going for me in life at the time, and I was really looking forward to that strawberry jam toast, and right then the toaster decided to spark and puff its final smoke of black death. Art leans forward like this is the most riveting story of all time. What did you do? I'd like to say I yawned and ate something else. But I guess to me in that moment, it was the most important thing in my life. I picked up that damn toaster and hurled it into the street. Art's eyebrows shoot up. Into the street. I look down, remembering. Yeah. It was there for 2 days. Art starts laughing, flashing a broad display of white teeth, and then I soon join him. After we've had a good chuckle at my expense, Art develops a serious face. That's a great example of what I'd like to teach you, Art says. And this lesson is a good one. If we can learn it, understand it, commit and resolve to do it, it will make our lives much happier and much more productive. Happy and productive, I say. Go on. Art begins gesturing with his hands, a sure sign of what he's saying is important. How do you naturally react when something goes wrong? I guess most of the time. I get angry. You know, heated. Heated, Art says. Why's that? It's because I want things to work to be good. And when it doesn't, I guess it makes me angry. So then, Art says, anger is what I will call your natural state to failure. I nod, take a sip of beer. I guess that sounds right. You're not the only one, Art says. Many become angry when things go wrong. Then they get all heated, and while in an angry state they try to fix it. But what usually happens? Sometimes I manage to get done what I wanted done, I say. Most of the time, I need to wait until I cool down so I can work more clearly. That's right, Art says. The anger state is not the best for getting results. Others have different natural states to failure. Some get depressed, some cry, some become overwhelmed and give up. All sorts of negative responses. Art takes a moment to pause before looking at me intently. But work with me on this. I touched on it out in the surf. Now let's expand it. Imagine a professional basketball player. I've got the Red Bulls jersey in my mind, I say. And a packed stadium. Now imagine that Bulls player is going for a three-point shot. What would be his best state to be in, to give him the highest chance of making it? I'll give you 3 options. Okay, I say. State of anger, Art says. He's thinking how he hates all the players, wishes he could win every game, make every shot. And then he tenses all his muscles, grips the ball tight and makes a shot. What would happen? I imagine someone frustrated and angry on court. Maybe he'd have extra venom on his shot, and the ball would smash into the backboard and bounce away. State of hopelessness, Art says, so now he's thinking I'm a rubbish player. I'll never make it. I shouldn't be in the NBA. I'm not worthy to wear this Bulls jersey. And then he holds the ball limply in his fingers and flops his arms toward the basket. What happens? Air ball, I say, grinning over the funny image. Or he gets swatted in his face. I've swatted my friend Jared once or twice. He cracks it every time. I laugh and Art continues. State of a winner, Art says, so now he's thinking I'm a winner. I got this. I've made this shot before and I'll make it again. And then his mind relaxes and runs on automatic. He holds the ball just right and lets it go with the right amount of power. He makes the basket, I say, thinking of the player poised on court. Well, it's by far his best chance. And that's true in all things in life, Art says. I nod and take a long sip. I can see that. When we face a problem, Art says, it's always to our advantage if we have an empowering natural state that we turn to. Say you're trying to fix your car's engine. If you can't get it done and get all worked up or mope because you think you're a failure, are you likely to fix it? No, I say. I see your point. I need to gain control, and know I can get the job done. For sure, Art says, then you will act with the most intelligence and insight, like the basketball player who sinks the basket. What if you applied for another job, and got rejected again? How would an empowering state affect you then? If I believed I could earn the job and deserved it, I'd be back writing another resume with passion, I say. It would make me much more likely to succeed than if I believed I was no good, and sat down to eat more toast. And that's if the toaster even worked. Art laughs. Have an empowering state when anything goes wrong. It's one of the things that sets great athletes apart. The greats never get defeated in their minds. They always say to themselves, I got this, and then they keep going with passion and their utmost ability. It's why players get into a zone or a hot streak. It's because their beliefs, emotions, mind and state is all empowering. If an athlete could keep themselves in that state all the time, even after an opponent beat them or after they made a mistake, they would almost be unbeatable. So you'd be playing at your peak constantly, I say. Then I look at Art. You should be a coach. Art smiles. I was. And now I'm coaching you. I nod, really appreciating all that Art has done for me. But this point of being at your peak state, it's hard to achieve in life. Sometimes it's hard, Art, I say to him. I mean, my natural state is to lose my temper, throw the toaster out the door, chuck the spanner away, punch the table when the computer doesn't work, or yell at the red light when I'm late. Art can see I have more to say, building my case, so he says, go on. And sometimes it's not even the things themselves. Like it was not the toaster. It's not the bolt on the engine that refuses to budge, not even the 3 red lights in a row. It's an accumulation of life problems. They all start building up, adding up, and then it's the one small thing that tips you off. I see, Art says, then takes a good drink of beer. So how do I control that? I ask, tapping my beer on the table a little more firmly, making myself angry just thinking about it. I keep looking at Art, then say, how do I change my natural state of anger when it comes to failure? Art smiles deeply. Brilliant question. You're searching for the answer to improvement. And the answer you seek is really quite simple. It just takes some repetition. Repetition sounds easy. It is, Art says. All you need to do is every time something goes wrong, no matter whether it's big or small, and you feel yourself slipping into anger or hopelessness, just say to yourself, I'm a winner. I'm a winner. I'm a winner. And that's it. I say. That's it, Art says and returns to his beer. It will change your state immediately. Say it every time throughout the day whenever you need. Eventually it will be your natural reaction, your natural state to facing failure and adversity. Whenever something goes wrong, you'll naturally respond, I'm a winner. I take a drink of cool beer. That sounds pretty good actually, and simple. It changed my life dramatically, Art says. And you can adjust it slightly if you need to. You may like to say, I got this, or this is no problem, or no sweat. Whatever you prefer, as long as it is empowering. I've always just liked saying, I'm a winner, because I used to have low self-esteem, low self-respect, low self-worth. You? No way. Yes way, Art says. And this is one of the key ways I changed it. It gave me rapid progress. Sounds like it would, I say, thinking of all my aggravations I can apply it to. Think I'll be saying, I'm a winner, and I got this, quite a lot. It gives you rapid progress because it makes you happy and helps get the job done, Art says. So not only are you in a much more capable state of overcoming your problem or challenge, but you're also feeling good while you're overcoming the challenge and enjoying doing it. You enjoy more of your life and make more progress in your life. And eventually you learn to love and enjoy challenges. You put joy into the challenges. And enjoying challenges is a massive key to life. Do you know why? Because life's full of challenges, I say. Art smiles. Absolutely. So if we're enjoying the challenges, putting joy from inside us into them, we learn to enjoy life and learn that a great part about life is working through challenges. I think we've spoke about this before. I nod with a smile. I think that may be the case. Well, it's a great thing to master and understand, Art says. So it doesn't hurt giving it some expansion. While drinking my beer, I'm thinking of what Art says, and it does make sense. Seems easy. You change your state to believe you got what it takes to do what you need and want to do, and then you put joy into it and enjoy doing it, and that way you get it done. You enjoy it and you do it. You hungry? Art says. Famished. Being hungry is a good lesson in accomplishing your goals. I burst into laughter. Laugh so hard my stomach hurts and tears roll down my cheek. Then I lose my breath. Art's not smiling and I chuckle a little more. Then gather composure. Sorry, I say. That just sounded funny to me for some reason. You were saying. Art almost smiles but he holds it back. I know he knows he sounded funny. Still, he continues on. If you hadn't eaten in a few days and there was a fresh meal waiting for you behind some obstacle, how hard would you push to get through that obstacle to obtain your meal? With everything I had. I shrug as if to motion, of course. If we're that desperate for our goal, Art says, that hungry to achieve it, if it becomes that necessary to us, then we will find a way to do it. Art orders some battered fish. The fish arrives and Art pulls it apart and hot steam pours from the white flesh. He swallows a bite, then starts a conversation. So, are you any clearer on asking Camilla to marry you? I squeeze lemon over my fish. I'm certain all right. My gut tells me we will be great together. My head still has concerns, but I'll manage that. I'll use my manager to make our lives better. It's so clear now. You just follow your instinct, no matter how scary it may seem. Because deep down it's what you need to do, what you want to do, who you want to become. Art nods. It's who you are. Our instinct is us. Our subconscious. It's telling us what will make us happy and what we need to do. We just need to use our heads and our hands to make sure we do it. Starting from a young age, we tend to put self-imposed limitations on ourselves. Others put these limitations on us as well, limitations of who we truly are, and who we want to be and who we can be. You will find our spontaneity and instinct helps break us free from those limitations. When we act on spontaneity, we feel happy and alive. Not when we live like a programmed robot, and act based on imposed rules and limitations. Art takes a moment to eat some fish, but I see he has more to say. Your instinct, gut, and spontaneity are your true self. When you connect with it, you are connecting with your true self, not a program for a robot. And it's your true self that makes you feel alive, fulfilled, and happy. The program from the robot cannot do that. The real you appears when you are not calculating and overthinking, but when you act on instinct. Acting on that spontaneous instinct will create energy. You will feel it. I take a piece of fish, burn my finger and shake it. Wish you could feel it as easy as burning yourself. You can once you're aware of it, Art says. Connecting with your truest desires through that spontaneous instinct will trigger parts of your brain that will send the right chemicals through your system and create that sense of happiness and aliveness you feel. You will know it when you're connecting with it. I look at my hands, eager to put them to work, to get busy and start a life, my life. I glance up at Art. I've put my life on hold for too long, I say. I haven't been truly living. Truly connecting to and listening to myself. I can't wait to get started. Art looks across the waters, the sun shining on his face. Almost everything we want and need in life is very simple. It's mostly all handed to us, all by miraculous design. Explain, please. Art breathes deep, runs his hand along his chin, then looks directly at me. These details I give you probably won't be exact. They will get updated as science and psychology progress, but they are a very good example of what your subconscious mind does. I rub my chin, imitating Art. This sounds interesting. Scientists estimate that your mind, subconscious mind, runs around 10 quadrillion operations per second. What kind of number is that? I ask. Art waves it off. It has a lot of zeros. Sure. And it performs those operations without you knowing about it, Art says. I glance at Art and smile. Can you name them all? Art doesn't smile. No. But I can give you some examples. First, your blood. It makes your blood flow with just the right amount of pressure. Without that you wouldn't live. It keeps your heart beating and body at the right temperature. 6 trillion operations to your 60 trillion cells every second. Those numbers are over my head. So the subconscious does a lot. And if it does all that with ease, Art says, then you see why it is no problem for it to give you good ideas and decisions to make you happy. You make a good argument, I say, pointing my beer at him. I can see that clearly. My subconscious is one of the most brilliant things on the planet, in the universe. Trust yourself. So trust it, Art says and looks at me, tearing into my battered fish. How did you know you wanted to eat that fish? Did you sit down and calculate how many hours it's been since you last ate? how many kilojoules you've burned surfing, how much is required to put back into your system. I laugh. No. It was simple. I felt hungry. How about if you need a drink, Art says. Do you need to measure how hydrated you are, fluid levels? Of course not, I say, and take a sip of beer. I get thirsty and I know I need a drink. What if you feel lonely? Do you need to calculate how long since you spoke to someone, or what a healthy amount of words per day is? No, I say. I get a sense of loneliness and I know I need someone to talk to. What about sleep? Art asks. I feel tired so I sleep. Art leans forward and speaks over the table. Bathroom? I open my arms wide. If you gotta go, you gotta go. How do you know if you need to put on a jacket? I feel cold, I say. Take your jacket off. Art asks. I'm warm, or maybe a little too hot. Your instinct. Your mind. Subconscious. They know what you need, Art says. So use them. Use them in your life decisions. But what about less obvious things, I say? Like, how come I have this strong feeling that Camilla is the right one? I mean, it's not just love, I know she is right for me and me for her. How do I understand that? We've touched on this before in how our minds work with understanding dangerous situations. It all works similarly, Art says. The mind takes in everything you encounter. With all your relationships and interactions and conversations, you have learned what people are like and what gels with you and what doesn't. You know you and Camilla are right. Despite the obstacles you will face. I finish the last bite of my fish and think at least I've wiped my credit card debt, but there's still my zero bank account. Then I look up at Art. There will be plenty of obstacles. You'll work through them, he says. How do you know? Art smiles. I've got a gut feeling. We laugh and Art is feeling generous and orders some Macallan 18 whiskey. He sips his shot and leans back. You know, Joey, it's funny and baffling how all these things we do naturally, things that we know are right, like when it's cold we put something on, we know when we need to eat, when we've had enough food, when we need a drink, sense dangers, everything our instinct hands us, but when it comes to decisions, things that really impact our lives, most of us ignore our gut, our instincts. We all get the feelings, the inspirations, but we put no faith in them. We try to quiet them, ignore them and push them aside, and go on living a life much less than we could live if we just listened to ourselves. Maybe we're scared, I say. Scared? Yeah, of like failing, taking the wrong path, ruining things, I say. So we stay in our safety zone and don't follow our gut. That can happen, Art says. But there's no need to be scared of life. And great things don't happen in the safety zone. Great things happen in your discomfort zone. I know, I say. You've taught me that well. But we are still scared. Maybe it's because since the moment we're born, we're nearly always protected and restrained. When you're a baby and a child at home, your parents restrain you. I mean, it's for your safety and your own good, but you're still restrained. Then at school you must follow their rules, their work schedule. Once again it's for your good, but it still nullifies us from listening to our intuition and stifles our spontaneity. Then it's the same when you get a job. Few jobs allow the employee to make all their own decisions based on gut feelings. Art nods, calm and slow. Sounds like there's truth in that. There's good in it too. Like you said, I can't imagine a child having the strongest trained and experienced intuition and making the best decisions. Same at school, you do need to learn. But to become a person of full character, we must learn to make that leap and become our full selves. Use what we have stored in our minds throughout the years and learn to follow our instincts, our intuitions, and make our decisions. Or others will choose our life for us. And that won't be a great life. Guess we are the ones who care about our lives the most and know what we really want, I say. So we should be making the decisions. Art nods in agreement, then finishes his last drop of whiskey. Art then points to a plump green grub eating a leaf on the tree in front of us. See that caterpillar? Here we go again. The fat one. That's how life is, Art says, and I can't help but chuckle for a moment. When we start life, we need to eat a lot of leaves. meaning we need to take in a lot of knowledge, tuition. Then we transform. That's when we build our chrysalis. Our what? Cocoon, Art says. We go into our cocoon, and although we never stop learning, we transform mainly from tuition to intuition, into making our own decisions, to becoming our truest and fullest character. So we can transform and spread our wings and fly, I say. Art smiles. Make your decisions. Create your life. And life will never be the same again. I want my life to be fuller, richer, to experience it, to be fulfilled and happy, and to give to others. I want to get this right. I take a shot of whiskey as the sun dips into the ocean. I sit up straight and pull my chair into the table. Art, I say. Can you run by the process with me again? The whole thing. The 5 steps. I want to get it clear. Make it brief. Art pauses. Then gets going. Step 1, Art says, acquire wisdom. Above all else that you acquire wisdom. Take in all the good knowledge you can. Read. Although you don't have to go nuts with reading, you still need to read something small every day. A good biography, psychology, science, books based on working principles. Take in knowledge in areas you want to excel in. If you can't find time to read, have some intelligent discussions with wise ones. That helps too. Observe the world around you, the animals, people, successful companies, and understand why they succeeded. Ask yourself good questions you can learn from. All of this will go into your subconscious and train your instincts. Acquire understanding, knowledge, wisdom. Step 2, Art says. Listen to your intuition. It will get stronger and more capable the more you take in. And the more you listen to it, the stronger it will become. The more faith you will have in it. Learn to be aware of your gut feelings. They're your ideas and decisions. Step 3, Art says. Use your managerial mind to manage the idea or decision. Remember, you may think it's self-doubt or fear, but it's your managerial mind managing the decision. Use it to accomplish the decision in the best possible way. Don't nullify the decision with too many failure possibilities. Use the manager to avoid failure. Then use your managerial mind to implement the decision in the best possible way. Step 4, Art says, and then pauses and looks at me long and hard. Then he pounds the table with each word. Act. 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 Art, very suavely, picks the fork up from the ground that fell from his punches, then continues. Carry out the decision. Remember to use hustle. There will be plenty of obstacles to your move, but that doesn't mean it's wrong, that's just life. There are things to do in life that are required to make things happen. So do them. Attack challenges from different angles, different techniques, but go through with your decision until it is completed. Sometimes you will find an even better decision or solution during implementing. That's fine. That's your intuition kicking in, with an even better possibility now. A possibility it never could have perceived if you hadn't got moving and came that far with your decision. So get moving. The 5th step, Art says, and feels his stubble, rocks back on his chair, breathes deep. And possibly the most important one. Don't make me wait any longer, I say. What do you think it is? We've already discussed it. I begin searching my mind for the answer, trying to relax to help bring it up. I look at the orange sky and the changing colors. I always appreciate a good sunset. That's it. Enjoy the experience, I say. Art closes his eyes and nods. Then he joins me in watching the sky change colors and darken over the ocean. That's it, Joey, Art says. Enjoy life. No fun living it if you're not loving it. When you start listening to your gut and making your decisions, remember to enjoy it all. There will be a few heartbreaks in life along the way. But you and Camilla will work through them together. I'm determined we will, I say. But as for all the small so-called tragedies that happen, and nearly all of them are small, don't fret over them, Art says. By being unduly stressed all the time, you will flood your system with harmful chemicals and ignite a chain reaction that makes things worse, makes you sick, and puts you in a gloomy state. Helen Keller. The only things that are really serious are losing a loved one, Art says. Even with a lifelong illness or injury, you can still find joy in life. Take Helen Keller for example. Who's she? Maybe you could look her up, Art glares at me. When you start reading a little more widely. I laugh. For sure. In short, Art says, when she was young she became blind and deaf, but she didn't shrink back. She bravely pressed forward and truly lived, inspired and loved life. She came to understand that life is truly beautiful. And if she can do it, we all can. That strikes home. If someone blind and deaf can enjoy life, I can. So don't worry about all these small concerns in life, they don't really matter, Art says. Even financial ruin can be recovered from. Money can be made again if you work hard enough and smart enough with the right strategy. As you're making decisions, taking action, going towards your goals, learn to love it all. Love meeting people, talking to them, giving joy to their lives, adding value for them. Setbacks can be great fun because they teach you, provide you with new challenges, new obstacles, new people you will have to meet and deal with to overcome the problems, and that's living. That's life. And life is truly beautiful. Life truly is beautiful. Once you begin to understand that it's not about focusing on being stressed and acquiring things and getting things. Rather, life is about what you can give, about people, quality relationships, and creating. I want to experience life fully, I say. You will, Art says. Once you become your own complete person and make and act on your own decisions. Sometimes we get lost in the thought of wanting life to be over. We want to be financially secure, have no job, do nothing except sit back and watch a sunset. A sunset is good, I say. A sunset is magnificent, Art says, and gazes at the orange of the setting sun, then looks back to me. But it's not life. If we had everything and then had absolutely nothing to do except watch sunsets, how long before you became restless and bored? Not very long, I say. In fact, Art says, that's another point on intuition. How do you know when you need to act, need to get busy, get working, doing something? When you get restless and bored, I say. That's it, Art says. Your intuition always tells you what to do. Another thing, if you're anxious, what does that tell you? I think for a moment. I'm usually anxious when there's something I need to do. Yep, Art says. It's our mind moving us to action. The anxiety is there until we get it done. We feel relief after we have done it. If we listen to that instinct, we will get the job done fast and be at rest and enjoy the results. Our feelings speak to us, tell us of some needed action we need to take. You have another example? I ask. Art nods because he always has another example. What about when you're totally bored and depressed and unfulfilled in your life? It's time to make a change, I say. Take an action. A new job. New business. Work for yourself or move location. Find a relationship or enrich the one you have. Anger. I guess that means there could be something that needs resolving, I say. Happiness. Art says. That something is good, I say. Learn to be in tune with your feelings and understand what they are telling you, Art says. They will be leading you to a needed outcome or action. I've never thought of that, I say. Neither do most, Art says. But our whole mind and emotions, the neurons which transmit nerve cells running through our bodies, all lead us through life quite well if we will listen to them and follow them. I might read up on it some more, I say. I'm going to try and master it. Art smiles. Emotions are a good thing to master. Remember, we all have different strengths in areas of decision-making. Taking in knowledge, listening to our gut feelings, managing them, acting on them, enjoying the process of acting and living. But once you harmonize all those 5 steps, life will soar. Master the steps, then harmonize them. For sure, I say. Start with small things on the ones you're weak at, Art says. You struggle reading, so start with 10 minutes a day. You did that with the surfboard book, so try a new field. Perhaps business or entrepreneurship. If your brain freezes over decisions, start with small ones like ice cream. Practice making the decisions quickly. If you're scared to take action and of being self-reliant, take small actions first. Then build and master it, and remember to enjoy it. I see the importance of these 5 areas, I say. 5 principles working in harmony so I can win at my endeavors. When you're putting your goals and ideas together, there's another thing that can help, Art says. It's linked with your intuition. You see, your intuition can point you toward what you will deeply love. Your calling. So when you have that figured out, and you need a plan to set it in motion, ask yourself a few questions to get clear and focused. That creates the certainty and the clearness in your mind that builds power. Your intuitions then open up and give you more. What are the questions? I say. First, you need to understand what you want, Art says. Your intuition will draw this from you. But then get clear on it, it might help to write it down. What do you really want here? What are you after? When you have that clear, then figure out why you want it. Why was your intuition, your gut leading you to this? What will be the benefits of doing it, or achieving it? When you understand the benefits of what you're after or trying to achieve, you will be much happier and clearer in your drive toward it. You won't have self-doubt holding you back, making you wonder if you're doing the right thing or being selfish. You will know what you're after and know why it is good. Got it, I say. Know what I'm after. Know why it is good. That creates a stronger drive and inner fire for you to accomplish it, Art says. When we get certain and go for it, there's almost nothing that stops us. It's just a matter of time before we win. So I need to be clear on what I want and why I want it, I say once again. That's simple. So is there a where and when? I laugh. What, why, where, and when? I never thought of it as explained like that, Art says. But yes. The where and when, that is you're doing it. The plan or plans you make to carry it out. So consider what you want, then why you want it, and then develop the plans and start doing it. So it's what I want, why I want it, then develop plans to do it, I say. But how do I design plans? Do research, Art says. Then listen to your gut and write up every action that comes to your mind on how to achieve it, and which ones will work the best and have the biggest impact, the most force. It all sounds relatively easy, I say. Well, an easy process. And fulfilling. Art takes a moment, then stares right me. There's nothing better to do on this earth than to grow yourself and help others grow, and to work hard at what you love. And to eat and drink with the ones you love, and to give wholeheartedly to others and help make their lives better. That's life. So live it. Win. Art straightens my tie. You look good, Joey, he says. Got yourself a decent haircut too. A tear wells in Art's eye, mirroring the one in mine. I nod but can't talk. My heart beats strong and calm. I turn and face the bright sun, the green field and giant trees, the beach and ocean beneath us, and rows of friends and families sitting in white chairs, fidgeting with watches, chattering and blowing noses on handkerchiefs. The lighthouse stands to my right, standing tall and standing strong. 40 years ago, Art proposed to Lucy beside its white walls. Time goes too fast. Every moment of my life from now, I'm going to try to savor. The golden stoned road sits before me, soon to reveal a red Charger rolling up. Your future is ahead of you now, Art says. The V8 rumbles and there's dust, and the chrome wheels turn and shine in the sun. The bright red paint is as pluck as a cherry as the '69 Charger heads toward us. I lean into Art's ear, swallow and hold my nerve. Thanks for letting us borrow your car. Any time. And yours and Lucy's ring, I say. Art smiles and puts his hand on my shoulder, and the tear rolls down his cheek. We both face the Charger. Its tires crumple on the stones, and the car stops before the small crowd. Everyone rises from their seats. The driver steps out of the Charger and opens the passenger door. Out steps Camilla. She slowly moves her hair from her face. Our eyes meet and we smile. Camilla's crisp white dress sways and her brown hair flows in the breeze in the most elegant waves as she walks toward me. Life will never be the same.
Art Edward. I step out of the airport to a sunny morning and then grab a cab. The smiling driver takes my directions and pulls on his little cap and gets moving straight to my destination. It's amazing how fast and direct people move once they know where they're going. Big trees shade the road with their interlacing branches as we coast along, the land becoming sandier as we travel. A few dusty and muddy cars pass on the other side of the road. A sky-blue ice cream van parks next to the houses, ringing its bell. The pace is slower here, less traffic, less noise. The cab driver pulls over beside a small white weatherboard house, surrounded by a scatter of palm trees. I gaze out the window of the cab. So this is the place they bought. I suggested they buy the best value house in the area they liked. A value house. That's usually one of the cheapest in your favorite location. I take my suitcase and walk the cracked concrete footpath to the front door. The house's white paint is bubbling in places, but I'm sure that inside its walls it's big on love and happiness. I go to knock, then my heart stirs and I hesitate. It's been 4 years since Joey and Camilla married. The year after they married, they moved out here and started a small business, Joey's Surfboard Coffee Shop. Joey's boards are starting to sell, he tells me. I'm delighted for them, and I bubble over with gratitude whenever I see the young couple. A tear forms in my eye, and I wipe it away and compose myself, turn back to the front door and knock. Tap, tap, tap. But the only reply is silence. I knock again. Nothing. I check the directions I wrote. I have the right place, and Joey said he'd be here. I look around. The green lawn is long and unkempt, much like Joey's hair when we first met in that tennis court. The big palm trees sway in the breeze, while a crooked red letterbox is half hanging from its post, a little messy. I smile. Some things will never change for Joey. This is definitely their place. Faint screaming comes from the distance, startling me. I drop my bag and walk to the corner of the house and peer down toward the back, the directions of the screams. The palms and various trees are green and thick and block what's behind them. The screams come again. My heart beats firmer, a boom boom in my chest, and I step onto the grass and patrol toward the back of the house. I jostle through the thick garden, pushing branches from my face. Whooshing sounds and a crashing come beyond the thick verdure. I come to a final pair of leafy palms, part them and look through. The ocean, blue and crisp, crashes and whooshes onto the golden shore. You never tire of its beauty. The screaming comes again, but now it clearly sounds more like laughter. Down the shoreline on the sand are Joey and Camilla and their little boy, Carver, a name Joey said was inspired from carving up waves. I pull off my shoes, leave the trees behind, and walk on the warm sand. It tingles my feet and the sun warms my face. Joey chases his boy. Then in the midst of the scurrying, Joey sees me. We both smile, a smile of enduring friendship. We meet up and hug, and I hug Camilla, and then lean down and hug little Carver. His eyeglasses are nosing down, and I prod them back up, and he pulls on my ears in return, tugging them as if they're satellite dishes, and he is searching for a far-off signal. Joey stops him. His ears are not toys, Carver. Great energetic boy you got there. I laugh and stand. Well, you did it, I say to Joey, and motion my arm around his family standing upon the shore. Life. Joey picks up Carver. Our surf shop is small, but it's fun, and I'm selling a few boards now, which allows us some free time. Which we use well. Joey smiles. I love the open space and slower lifestyle. I knew you two would make it, I say. Joey looks at me with a relieved expression. It was hard, he says. So hard. It took everything I had, and it took so long before my life clicked. But once I decided to follow what I knew was right, it all started to happen. I'm not a millionaire, but I have everything I need and want and more. I'll be forever grateful to you, Art, for guiding me. You earned it. We sit by the open fire in Joey and Camilla's backyard and enjoy dinner. The roast chicken is spiced with herbs. The wine enhances the flavors and my emotions. Camilla's a great cook. An important quality to my reckoning, or is that to my stomach's reckoning? Joey and Camilla smile and laugh with their boy. A blue butterfly flutters past Carver, and Carver dashes after it on the grass, and trips and loses his glasses. Joey picks them up, wipes off a few blades of grass from the frame, then hands the spectacles to his boy. Carver slips them on crooked. Dad straightens them. Carver hugs his dad, then scurries away chasing the butterfly. All those years ago, Joey picked up those glasses for that small boy in the tennis court. Now it's his boy. And this boy even thanked him. I smile, and my heart beats at ease. Joey did it. He has a peace and happiness that few of us ever find. It's a life that was not handed to him, but it was a life he longed for. A life he fought for. He fought with honor, he fought with integrity and won. Win. Many people say it doesn't matter if you don't win. But I believe it does. You've got to win. By winning, I mean the personal victory. Fighting for and winning what you need to be happy. Becoming the person you aspire to be. Because if you're that person, if you're that best version of yourself, you will be happy. And from that inner strength, you will have the core force and power to make others happy. And isn't that what life's about? Being happy. Enjoying it. Being all you can. Creating all you can, and giving all you can to others. That's a fight worth winning. The heartbreaks. The real heartbreaks will come. And when they do, your heart will cry its own tears. I know mine did when I said goodbye to my dear Lucy. Does every year on our anniversary and on the day she passed. But life endures and life remains beautiful. You pick yourself up and honor your loved ones with everything you have and everything you are because you know that's what they'd want. Little Carver takes my attention again as he zooms by, still chasing the butterfly around the yard like a race car driver. He comes Joey's way and Joey grabs him, spins him round and holds him high toward the sun. They laugh, and a tear glides down Joey's cheek as he gazes up at his boy. It's a tear of joy. There are few greater feelings on God's earth than when you triumph over adversity and go the distance with your dreams. Adversity can be a merciless villain. He can tear you down, break you, make you hurt. But you can beat him. But you must see it. Visualize it. Feel it. Because if you can't, if all you see is gloom, that will be your life. Now I know you want to fight hard, and you may be scared, and I've been there and was afraid once too, and I know how hard it is and how hard it can feel. But you must stand face to face with adversity. Smell his thick breath, look into his eyes, don't back down. Whisper in his ear, to beat me, you're gonna have to possess more heart than me. And one thing I have is heart power. Bring to the fight your broken dreams, broken heart, all your force, all your love, everything you've got. Let that force flow through your veins, feel it rise within you, feel your hidden force that you have always possessed. It will overtake you and rise like an unstoppable will from God. And nothing can stop that.